Hi, I'm here with Aaron in his shop in Hood River. We're shooting these videos a little bit out of sequence, so if I repeat myself too much, I'll apologize for that. But as I think I've said in a prior video, with Beansprout, which is Aaron's company, there's really always been, to me, three things about that brand that define it. And Aaron has always had a very strong sense of branding. One is that he's passionate about banjos. Two is he's passionate about the woods that come from our area in the Pacific Northwest, and especially the sustainable woods. And three is he loves vintage woodworking equipment, and it's as much his hobby as his job. So we're going to do three videos here. In this first one, we're going to talk about the banjos, but his instruments and the ideas and the vision he's got for those instruments. You want to start out with we're here with Henry too, as you can tell. Okay, nope, he's not going to be photographed. He just had a question, maybe about the cookies. We'll just have to just wait for a second. Okay, hang on. Slight interruption. These things happen.
Kids need lemonade.
It's one of the reasons Maya Moe, we were rather productive. Things slow down when you've got a family.
Okay, I'm back.
So, do you want to talk first about the banjos or the other instruments?
Well, to your listeners, the ukuleles are, I think, a good place to start, and we can branch from there.
Okay.
So I am offering three different sizes of ukes, of my own shapes and sizes and designs. They're really just an outgrowth of what we did at Maya Moe, and just kind of a slight aesthetic shift towards what I want. But they do use some aesthetic ideas that come from banjo design and history. And that is one of the things that make them unique. So like, for instance, on banjos, typically the end of the headstock goes straight up and down like this instead of like this. So I did it like this on my banjos, I do it like that on my ukuleles. It's a little thing, but I like the aesthetics of that look. And you know, the little tuners I use are these little Goto tuners that are miniature banjo tuners. I use them on this and on the regular ukes. And then, for instance, banjos traditionally have necks. They're laminated up from several pieces of wood. So I decided to do that on my ukuleles too. So those things are little, but it's a unifying aesthetic that goes across banjo and ukulele, so that the Beansprouts all look like the Beansprout. So we can look at that one on those things on this tenor uke right here.
It's a little different shape than the Maya Moe, or is it pretty?
It's very close, but it is a little different. The Maya Moe shapes, we mostly were working off of Martin style shapes. Mm-hmm. And these shapes are all based off of a little Line and Healy ukulele from the Depression that I fixed up. And I blew it up and made it into three different sizes. But you can see on this one, the neck is laminated up from pieces of fir and pistachio, which is not something we did with Maya Moes, but I like how it looks on here. A couple little things like that that add up to unifying the aesthetic.
Yep, I can see the headstock angle that you're talking about. As you say, the tuners. You've got the pistachio head plate, which is gorgeous.
Yeah, and pistachio fretboard and bridge on this one too.
Yep. Uh-oh.
It's okay, bud. You drop your can?
Another slight interruption. No worries.
Oh, it's okay.
Be right back with you.
Keep going.
And you've, instead of using a rosette, you're binding the
binding the sound hole.
The sound hole.
That is based off of the old Line and Healy instrument that I like the look of. So is this shape here.
Yeah.
So is this shape up here.
Yeah, that's a very traditional shape on the end of the fretboard. I don't know if you can see that there, but that little.
Yeah, and I kept the Maya Moe bridge because that was a classic look for us. I think I like it. And you know, those are little things. The guts of the instrument are the same as what we've always done. I still braced it and carved it and thicknessed it as always.
But they're little things that make it yours.
Yeah, and you know, some of them are just whimsy in a way. You know, there's not necessarily always a good reason for stuff. It's just because that's what I like.
Right.
It's not like I didn't like what we did before.
Yeah.
It was just I got a new chance to try some new stuff. So.
Right.
And this one's myrtle, just like our, that's our favorite.
Well, I think you said, as you say, they're small. They're aesthetic changes. Mm-hmm. They unify it under the Beansprout kind of brand. But just looking at them here in person, they're gorgeous. I mean, the woodworking involved with the lamination of the neck, which from a woodworking perspective, not only you have the five pieces that are together here, but it places demands on centering that are that just make the building a little bit more challenging.
Well, because if you think about the way an instrument is built, it's built off of a center line here, and everything goes out that way. But then the center line also carries straight down and goes off that way and that way. And then that center line has to, do a straight 90-degree this way, and it's built off of that perpendicular line that way.
Right.
So it's like from here straight out is multiple center lines, and it has to build to that.
Yeah.
So.
Beautiful. What's your other size? I know you've got a baritone that you don't have one of to show right now.
Yeah, I've got.
But the smaller instrument.
Yeah, so one of the great things about my Moe is that we could look at our gallery and know how many instruments we made of every size. So I think by the last time we checked, we thought we made about 80% tenors, wasn't it? About 80%. So I wanted to make sure that the tenors were my #1 instrument. And then we offered 5 or 6 little instruments, different kinds of soprano concert, and that added up to just a handful of the instruments we made. So I thought I would, do something a little bold and try to create one small instrument that might reach multiple demands for small instruments. So this instrument has a concert scale fretboard, but the body is smaller than a concert, bigger than a soprano. So it's kind of my way to try to make something that's in between. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It's got the same shape as the tenor, just shrunk down. And it meets at the 14th fret. And this one's Porterford cedar and walnut.
What do you call that shape?
Well, I don't really know yet. I've been asking people what they think I should call it.
Yeah.
And somebody said, well, wait a second, it's a concert scale neck, so call it a concert. Who cares what the body shape is? And someone else is like, well, you can't call it a concert. Look at how small the body is. And
right. I mean, a super soprano has a concert scale neck, but it's not called a concert.
Right,
so there's precedent for that.
I'm toying with a couple ideas, but I'm thinking, Nicole really wants me to call it an alto, which then is cool, but then it takes explanation.
Right.
Right? So, as we know from running a business like this, everything you have to explain is a chance to educate, but it's also a little bit of a pain to have to explain. So, I don't know yet, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I just don't know what to call it.
Well, those things, I don't know. I think one of the neat things about the ukulele, the owners and the market is that people are open to a lot of variety. I mean, it's why you see somebody play on a ukulele that's shaped like a fish. Right. Right. Yeah. But they're open, and I always said, in the guitar market, the guitar players are not as open. Even though sometimes the guitar player and the ukulele player are the same person, but when they get a guitar, they're more rigid. And so I think offering something that's unique is maybe it's just a good way of opening a door.
Well, when we were at a festival this weekend, this one was on the table, and it was the one that everybody came and grabbed first because they said, "What is this?" Right. So even if just that's good for business, to have something that people are compelled from across the room, like, what is that thing?
Well, it's an interesting thing. How deep are we in this video?
8.5 minutes.
What? Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap this one up really quickly. In fact, I'm going to leave you hanging and say we're going to start the next one off with a little story about him, because Aaron talked about people that came up to his table. All right, see you in the next video.